Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you had a good module. I hope you had an interesting time trying to figure out what you would do for each of those videos. And I'm really interested to see what you think about Cornel West. He's a difficult guy to deal with sometimes, and he can be a little over the top, as you probably saw if you watched the video. But he always says something challenging, and he's interesting to watch. And his ideas about indifference and courage are very important, and they'll keep coming up, especially this week when we do virtue ethics. And so I just wanted to give a little bit of a warning. So we're getting close to halfway. We're about halfway next week, I believe. And this is the time of semester where people start to have difficulties. They start to fall behind a little bit more. And maybe sometimes they self-sabotage or they get a little overwhelmed or tired. So if you're having these troubles, please try to realize what's going on. This is just a common occurrence. Doesn't mean you're a bad student. It doesn't mean anything like that. And I'm willing to help you through it. So if you start to feel a little bit drained or a little bit overwhelmed, email me. Let's hop on the problem before it becomes a big problem halfway once we get more like farther down the semester. Okay, so this week we're going to be doing virtue ethics, and next week we're going to be having a week off of content. Next week will be our assessment, our midterm assessment week, and that will involve me creating a series of study problems so that you'll understand what the exam will be like, and I'll also explain in there how I'll do the exam, how I'll score it, all those types of things. So this is our last week of content before the midterm assessment. And I know, so we've been doing so much ethics, so much right and wrong, that I know it can get a little bit tiring. And in ethics class, we hardly ever study anti-ethics people. But there are quite a few philosophers who are anti-ethics. And so this week, our contest is going to be this quote right here. So the quote is, "Distrust all in whom the impulse to punish is strong," end quote. So some philosopher said this. You can Google it, look it up any way you want. The first person who texts me and tells me who said it and some kind of good reason why they might say that. Okay, and whoever does that, I will send them or give them a bag of Smarties because they'll be smart. And that will be our weekly contest this week. And I'll try to come up with a new one next week and maybe do it a little more interactively. But for this week, anti-ethics. So in contemporary ethics, there are three main types of ethics. Up to this point, we've covered two. If you remember back, the first one we covered was utilitarianism. That was Jeremy Bentham, John Stuart Mill. We did the trolley problem and all those types of things. It's weighing numbers of people and amounts of happiness. It's much more about consequences than it is about intentions. Then secondly, we did Immanuel Kant and his deontology. Now remember, there's one law, there's one rule, and you have a duty to follow it. And he's much more interested in your intentions, that you're following the law. He's a little bit less interested in how things will actually work out in the end. The third major ethical system is virtue ethics. This one was largely formulated by Aristotle, and that will be our reading for this week. And virtue ethics for this week will have three main things I'm going to want you to do. The first is a Prezi. In the Prezi, I'm going to explain in as much detail as I can in about 30 minutes what virtue ethics is. I'll give some examples. There's a video, a couple of humorous parts. Hopefully you think they're humorous. There'll also be a reading. Okay, I'll post the page numbers on the web page. If you don't have the new book, that's okay. Just read Aristotle's essay. It's about 8 to 10 pages. I don't remember exactly, but it's not very long this week. I'm also going to do a short poll sometime during the week. Up to this point, I've been doing the reading Prezi, where I take you through how to read the specific things. This week, we're going to try to not do it. and we'll see what happens. If it becomes a problem, I might redo one and repost it maybe towards the end of the week. And there'll be a writing assignment. Now, the assignment itself will be posted at the end of the Prezi. So watch the Aristotle and Virtue Ethics Prezi, and at the end, I'll explain what the assignment will be. It'll be a 2-page writing assignment. There's some questions there, and you can see them at the end of the Prezi. And that will be what we're doing this week. I'm going to try to explain to you just a tiny bit what virtue ethics is in 1 second. So I'll explain in quite a bit of detail during the Prezi what virtue ethics is. But obviously, if it's virtue ethics, it's about virtues. So through antiquity, meaning back in Greek and Roman times, all through the Middle Ages, and even into the early Renaissance period, virtue ethics was the main ethical system of pretty much the entire European civilization, going all the way back to Plato and Aristotle and democratic Athens. The virtues were what drove their culture, and the ethics surrounding these are pretty interesting and are starting to have a bit of a popular comeback in academic circles, whatever that's worth. But let me just briefly explain what I mean by a virtue. So, for example, we have prudence. Now, prudence is essentially what we would today call wisdom. It's being able to judge right and wrong, good and bad, tall, short, fat, skinny. It's that ability that some people have to just get the right judgments and to always be able to be wise about certain situations. Justice, obviously that one we still use the same word. That's just justice. It's not allowing for a lot of disparities. That's mainly what they mean by justice in this context. You shouldn't have someone so high and someone so low. People should not be treated unfairly, that type of thing. Temperance is self-control. This is the one we have today. You might hear temperance in relationship to drugs, alcohol, that types of thing. And they mean a very similar thing. They mean self-restraint, self-control. It's also deeply related to health. They didn't believe you could be temperate if you weren't healthy. You had to exercise, and you had to exercise your brain and your body, eat properly, so that you would have the ability to be temperate. And lastly, courage. Now, obviously, we still have this one. And courage is what they call an enabling virtue. So you can't do any of these other ones without being courageous. And here you see the link to why I played the Cornel West video for the last module. He talks a lot about having the courage to act when you see something unjust going on. If you see something unjust going on around you, you see some horrible unfairness occur, or someone loses their rights, or something like that, and you know it's wrong. You feel it inside. You know for sure it's wrong, but you don't have the courage to act. Just knowing it's wrong is useless. Okay, so this is why I was trying to link you to Cornel West and to try to get you to begin to see how these virtues work. Now, I'll explain this in a lot more detail during the Prezi. This is a little prequel, and you'll get to see what it'll be like during the Prezi in more detail. And so let me make my my ending plea once again. Go do the little contest for this week. Whoever wins gets the Smarties. And if you have any difficulty, if you're starting to get into that midterm malaise and you're a little worried and you're upset or you feel like you can't get the work done, contact me. We can work it out. I'm very reasonable. I'm happy to help anyone that needs help. And if you need a quick response, remember, text me. It's much faster than emailing. If you email me, sometimes I don't get it for half a day or a day. If it's a Friday, I might not get it all day, which I usually don't answer my emails on Fridays. And so remember, if you need something and it's an emergency, text me. It's the quickest way. And good luck with this module, and make sure you look at the end of the Prezi. That's where the homework will be.